A few months ago, I talked about Red Katz's book, Live Your Eulogy. And this is him, this is Red. He's a motivational speaker. He spoke during a convention that I attended. It really made a difference in my thinking.
I don't wanna save ya, don't wanna be strangers. Let me feel like you know what to do. Leave your limitations, live and go against them. Just let go and start up something new. Cause I know what you planned out. Everything that you built up isn't what you want. And I know the life you're living isn't that fulfilling. Let me help you out.
It started me on my journey. Now, I didn't start doing YouTube videos or anything right away. I was still trying to figure things out, still kind of looking at traditional stuff to do. And, I was kind of going through a hard time as well. And so it took me a while to work through some things, but the following summer, the convention was in the fall. The following summer, I decided to start doing videos because I'd been thinking about it for so long. And, this book was the catalyst, or at least part of the healing process of the actual catalyst. I had had some really rough times for, I'd say, about 1.5 years in particular. By this point, by the time I'd gone to this convention, I felt stuck. I didn't know what to do or what I wanted or anything. And so last time I talked about the first chapter. I don't want to give his whole book away. The first chapter is about your identity and knowing who you are. The second chapter, which is what we're going to talk about now, is knowing what you want, or your passion. The man who does things makes mistakes, but he never makes the biggest mistake of all: doing nothing. Ben Franklin. In this chapter, Red talks about some hard times that he had gone through. And it was during a time when his finances were not the greatest. Found himself getting a 9-to-5, a regular day job that he hated. And he calls it being a zombie. He was going through the motions. But he advises that it's okay if your path is curvy. Okay, at least you're moving forward. Okay, in his talk that I heard at that seminar, he talked about whether you're moving forward or backward, you're moving. It's good to be moving, he said. It's when you're not. It's when you're just sitting there. He called it hanging in there. He doesn't really like when we say, I'm hanging in there. And his point was that you need to do more than just that. You need to be moving. Hanging in there is just hanging there. Swing. Okay, that's how I remember it anyway. And he talks about his passion and how there would be a flame that he would pour cold water on himself with doubts and fears, which I super relate to. I haven't really worked on my writing the way I should have all this time. I haven't, you know, I do regret that. But you know, I can't get that time back, so I have to move forward. But the point is, you know, making time for those passions, even if it's just on a weekend or something, is better than not at all. And he makes the point that the fire needs air to breathe. And, you know, the world and your experiences in the world and your doubts and fears can smother it. You know, you can bury it because then you're like, you know what? I don't really need to do that. I don't really need to spend time on that anyway. I need to focus on making that living and working at this job because this job is where I'm getting my money. But, you know, that only lasts for so long, as I have discovered. It always comes back because, as he says, your flame isn't gone. It's just on life support. He says, the good news about passion is that while you're still alive, it never goes out entirely. Therefore, your job is to get it going again before it's too late. He goes on to point out that even though we might kind of already know this, that, you know, we have these passions that we're not taking care of, that we're not nurturing, that we're not allowing to breathe, that we are not doing anything with. We have the thought in our head, I have to go to work and pay the bills. I have to go to work and pay the bills. I have to go to work and pay the bills. Work, pay bills, etc. Just always. And he asks, and for what? What am I going to work for? Money, right? But here's what happens with people. They make more money, and then all they do, they get a nicer car that is a higher car payment. They might get a nicer, bigger house that is a bigger house payment. They spend money on luxuries they didn't spend money on before. They up their standard of living, they up the means. And so they're not really making more, are they? They're actually enslaving themselves to more debt. So they have to continue to work. And they're not necessarily saving more for retirement or for emergencies or whatever. My advice, I'm guilty of this a little bit too. I have spent more on things that maybe I should slow down with. I don't shop for clothes or any of that stuff. My money goes toward going places and, like I've talked about in other videos, food, which I'm working on remedying. Okay, the point is, I advise always living below your means. As a matter of fact, Kelly Stamps, she's another YouTuber that I watch a lot. She just came out with a video, talks about how there's a couple of things. One, having new money, and two, the pandemic kind of messed with her a little bit. And, you know, she was a minimalist, and she kind of inched away from that for a while. And now she's coming back to it, and she's coming back to her senses and realizing and trying to be wiser with her money and spending less on things. She's preparing, she's investing in herself, and she's, you know, doing what she likes to do because she has built her business and built her multiple income streams and is low on debt. She's free to do all of that. And I am becoming more and more about that. The less debt you have, the more freedom you have to go after the things you want. Minimalism, I'm very far away from that, but I'm looking around in this room at things that I don't use, that I don't need. I mean, most of it is just, I never use it. Next time I move, maybe I don't take it with me. When I go somewhere, I get the minimum amount of things that I need for my kitchen, for my living room, for whatever. He talks about that kind of thing in here. He says the rat race just keeps going and going and going and going. Where does it end? It doesn't. And so that is the first part of my talk on chapter 2 in Red Katz's book, Live Your Eulogy. I'll be back for part 2 next time. And in the meantime, spend wisely, earn wisely, and be good to yourself. Light it up, light it up.